European countries should take these refugees and give them education and training, and then aiming is return to their own land, European people. So better keep Europe for Europeans. But meantime, take these refugees and help maximum way with certain skill. And then European countries also have the moral responsibility to rebuild their own country.
Imagine a world where the Dalai Lama, a beacon of peace and wisdom, drops a truth bomb that leaves a BBC reporter speechless. It's not fiction, it's reality. In a jaw-dropping interview, the spiritual leader delivers a stark message on UK immigration that shatters political correctness and exposes the gulf between media narratives and harsh truths. Prepare to have your assumptions challenged and your mind blown. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favour. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. As the BBC reporter settled in for what she anticipated would be a typical conversation about spirituality and peace with the Dalai Lama, an unexpected turn of events was about to unfold. With a carefully crafted question, she steered the dialogue towards the hot-button issue of immigration.
Some people say in the spirit of immigration, saying something like Europe for Europeans isn't a welcoming statement to make in this current era, where there's so many, 70 million people displaced at the moment in the world.
And most of these poor people, now in the Middle East, really very sad. And Yemen. Now, refugee problem, really sad thing. Many people leave their own country. I think we human beings, I think a lot of suffering, essentially our own creation.
Clearly expecting the spiritual leader to endorse open borders and unlimited acceptance of refugees. Little did she know, she was in for a reality check that would challenge her preconceptions and leave her visibly uncomfortable. The atmosphere in the room shifted as the Dalai Lama's expression changed, signalling he was about to share a perspective that would run counter to the prevailing narrative. The reporter leaned in, her body language betraying a mix of curiosity and growing unease. What followed was a series of statements that flew in the face of modern political assumptions about immigration and multiculturalism. European countries should take these refugees and give them education and training, and the aim is return to their own land, the Dalai Lama stated firmly. The reporter's eyes widened, her pen hovering above her notepad, as if unsure whether to record this unexpected response. But the spiritual leader wasn't finished. He continued, emphasizing the importance of preserving European cultural identity. Europe belongs to the Europeans. The journalist, clearly taken aback, attempted to challenge his position. But Your Holiness, surely a multicultural Europe is the way forward in our globalized world, she ventured, her voice betraying a hint of desperation. The Dalai Lama, however, remained steadfast in his views, with a calm demeanour that contrasted sharply with the reporter's growing discomfort.
My parents moved from India to the UK. That's now their home. That's okay too, isn't it? If Indians or anyone else wants to live in Europe?
They themselves, I think, better to their own land, climatically. Much better. Europe too cold. I think England, the small island, 90% become Indian. Then I don't know.
He elaborated on his stance. European countries should take these refugees and give them education and training, and the aim is return to their own land, he reiterated, his words carrying the weight of conviction. The journalist shifted in her seat, visibly struggling to reconcile these statements with her preconceived notions of the Dalai Lama's beliefs. As the interview progressed, the tension in the room was palpable. The reporter's attempts to steer the conversation back to more comfortable territory were met with the Dalai Lama's unwavering perspective. "Keep Europe for Europeans," he stated, a knowing smile playing across his features as he observed the impact of his words on the flustered journalist. Contrast between the Dalai Lama's serene demeanour and the reporter's visible discomfort created a fascinating dynamic. Here was a figure revered for his wisdom and compassion, challenging the very narratives that many in the media hold dear. It was a moment that would undoubtedly spark intense debate and force many to confront their own biases and assumptions about immigration and cultural preservation. Just when you thought the Dalai Lama's interview couldn't get any more explosive, along came Elon Musk to fan the flames. The tech mogul's single-word tweet, "interesting," was like a match to gasoline.
And if these people from Afghanistan or the Middle East want to stay in Europe, shouldn't they be allowed to?
Limited number, okay. So these individuals come from that kind of society, and we can't blame. These individuals cannot change, but whole Europe eventually become Muslim country, impossible. Or African country, also impossible.
There's nothing wrong with that, is there? I mean, you're a refugee yourself.
Igniting a firestorm of debate across social media. Suddenly, everyone from keyboard warriors to political pundits was weighing in on the spiritual leader's controversial stance on immigration. The reactions were as diverse as they were passionate. One user didn't mince words, declaring, "No lady, it's not okay for Europe to turn into Africa or India or anything else." It was a stark reminder that concerns about cultural preservation run deep, even in our supposedly enlightened age. Another commenter marvelled at the irony, noting, "Even a spiritual master with multiple lifetimes of accessible memory, according to the Dalai Lama, has a problem with unchecked immigration." The implication was clear. If someone as wise and compassionate as the Dalai Lama is raising red flags, maybe it's time we all took a closer look at our immigration policies. But it wasn't just about culture clash. Some users cut straight to the heart of the matter, arguing that mass migration is fundamentally colonialism. It's a provocative stance, to be sure, but one that resonates with a growing segment of the population who worry that there are limits to how many newcomers a country can absorb before its very identity starts to shift. And let's not forget the elephant in the room: illegal immigration. While the BBC reporter was busy pushing her multicultural utopia, the National Crime Agency was uncovering a far grimmer reality. Fake UK passports and driving licenses being flogged for a cool $5,000 a pop. It's hardly the rosy picture of integration we're often sold. The numbers don't lie either. Home Office figures show that migrant crossings of the English Channel were up by a quarter in 2024 compared to the previous year. It's a stark reminder that despite all the hand-wringing and political posturing, the UK's immigration challenges are far from solved. But here's the kicker. Even as the number of arrivals ticked up in 2024, it's still down from the record-breaking 40,574 we saw in 2022. It's almost as if, dare we say it, stricter policies might actually be having an effect. Of course, you won't hear that from the mainstream media. They're too busy clutching their pearls over the Dalai Lama's shocking comments to notice the writing on the wall. The Dalai Lama's interview has become a lightning rod in the immigration debate, exposing deep-seated tensions that many prefer to ignore. What started as a routine conversation quickly morphed into a stark revelation of the chasm between idealistic multiculturalism and the pragmatic concerns of cultural preservation. The spiritual leader's measured responses, coupled with his enigmatic smile, left viewers grappling with uncomfortable questions about the limits of diversity and the true meaning of tolerance. As the dust settles, we're left to ponder. Is there a middle ground between welcoming refugees and maintaining cultural identity? The Dalai Lama's words have forced us to confront the complexities of a globalized world where borders are increasingly porous. His knowing laugh at the end of the interview seems to echo the sentiment of many who feel caught between compassion and caution. This unexpected exchange has done more than just ruffle feathers. It's peeled back the layers of political correctness to reveal the raw nerves beneath. As viewers, we're challenged to question our own assumptions and the narratives we've been fed. The Dalai Lama may have come to discuss spirituality, but he's left us with a political and cultural conundrum that won't be easily resolved.